Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So let's continue. For this video, we're going to talk about functions. So first, let me just close this part. So I can just click this, by the way, and then that will close. The other one, I would like to just close this one as well. Let's scratch earlier. And then for this one, let me go to view appearance. I just want it to have a simple interface. There you go. So there you go. Now we can start. Alhamdulillah. So let me go down to functions. So this is functions. Okay. So what is a function, right? Earlier, we've written something like, so if I want to add a cell above it, for example, I can just click this one, and this will actually insert a function. I mean a cell, for example. So let me add here, insert a cell, right? And earlier we can do something like x equals 1 and y equals 2, so that if I add a new cell, by the way, the shortcut for that one, right, is just actually once you are in escape mode. So this one is not in escape mode because, as you can see your cursor. If you want to go to what we call this escape mode, I'm not sure if that's actually the term, you just have to press escape. So if I press escape, as you can see, there's actually a borderline here. If I press escape, it will remove that, right? But still it is actually selected, right? And if I want to add a new cell above this, I can just press A, and it will insert a new code cell above it. Or if I click B, it will insert a new code cell below it, right? So it's actually a shortcut for clicking this or clicking this, right? So if I say I want to add a new cell above this cell, I can just press A. There you go. I have the new cell, and then I can just press enter. And there you go. I can now edit the cell itself. So if I say x plus y, it will return 3, right? But what about if I say I want this to be 2, for example, x. So I can just write in 2 as well, and then this one will update into 4, right? Because 2x now is equal to 2 and y is equal to 2. But if I want to do this again and again, I have to run these two cells all the time, right? Although I can actually just remove this and then paste it here, and then it will just print the output of this one, right? I can just do this, right? And so on and so forth, right? But you can also so if I want to delete this, I can just click this, by the way. Or as you can see here, there's actually like a shortcut. You can just press double D once you are in escape mode. So this is not in escape mode because there's a cursor blinking. So if I press escape, it will now go to in the escape mode, and then I can just press D twice, D for delta. So if I press D for twice, so D and then D. Actually, you have to make it fast. There you go. Right, so I've deleted it. You can actually wrap these operations into what we call a function, right? So as you can see here, add numbers. This is how you create a function. Add numbers x comma y and return x plus y and so on and so forth, right? So if I run this, right? So now I've run it. I can then insert a new cell here above. I can then say add numbers, and I can just say if x is 2 and y is 6, because that's what we have here. If I run that, it will also return 8, right? Because of this operation, right? Or if I say I want to change this to 7, so that would be 7 plus 6, that would be 13. So this is how you create your own function, and we've already looked into samples of functions before, such as, for example, println. So println is a function because it has this name, that's the name of the function, println, and then there's this open and close parenthesis, and then you can put the item in here, right? And so on and so forth, right? Also here, for example, we have type of, for example, this is a function because it has this open and close parenthesis as well after its name, and also some mathematical operations like sine, cosine, and so on and so forth, right? But we can also, if I may go back here, we can also write other complex functions, right? So for example, if I want to come up with this, say, a cooking machine, right? So I can just say function cooking machine. I can write, so cooking machine, this is the name of the function, right? And this is how you trigger, tell Julia that I want to create the functions. First, you have to write the function name and the function keyword, and then after that space, and then after that cooking underscore machine. This is the name of the function, that's the name. So I'm going to name it as cooking machine. This is the name of the function, and it takes an input. So I would say input meat, for example, right? And then I say and then tab. So actually you can just write your codes like that one, but for readability, we usually put a tab, indent it, right? And then after that I can say, let's apply what we learned before for the, say, the condition control flow, this one, and conditional operator, right? So for this one I would say, if input meet is double equal sign or triple equal sign, let's just say something like that, or double equal sign for now, let's say chicken, it will say, it will print ln chicken biryani. Wow. Else, let's say, else if input meat is equal to beef, let's say print ln beef biryani. I mean, who doesn't love biryani? I love biryani. Else print ln I don't know how to cook this meat, and then equal sign, and then after that we say input meat end. So here we just applied actually the what we learned above, which is the control flow, the if else control flow, and we also applied the comparison operator, right? So if I run this, shift enter to run it, and then I add a new cell above this, so I press A, right? Of course you have to be in an escape mode first, and then I can say cooking machine. If I say chicken, it will actually return a chicken biryani, right? Alhamdulillah. And then if I say, so a new cell here, cooking machine, if I say beef, if I run that shift enter, it returns a beef biryani, right? So function helps you create, or helps you wrap everything into a usable codes that can take inputs that will modify the output, right? So here you have a cooking machine. So it's like a cooking machine, and its function is just to cook, of course, any input meat. And so here if I say input meat is a chicken, it will then do the control flow operation first by doing the comparison operation, checking if the input meat is equal to chicken, So in this case, because it is chicken, which is true, then it will print chicken biryani. Alhamdulillah. And then after that, if I enter beef, it will, so input meat will become beef. And once I have that, and then I go to this first line and check, input meat, which is beef, is not equal to chicken, right? So it will skip this printing and it will proceed to this one, input meat equals beef, which is true, and it will and input print beef biryani, right? So as you can see, we have here beef biryani. Alhamdulillah. Now if I enter cooking machine and I say let's say shrimp, for example, and then I run this, it will say I don't know how to cook this meat, which is shrimp. Okay, so as you can see, that one, because input meat is not equal to chicken, it will skip this. And then because input meat is also not beef, it will skip this. And finally here, it will then simply run this, right? Because it does not know how to cook biryani. There you go. So that's how that's the role of the function is that you can wrap all of your codes into this reusable codes, right, that can be modified based on the inputs, right? Now you might be wondering, okay, what's this return, right? So the thing is if, say for example, I have here cooking machine, right, and I assign it into a variable, right, the output of this, which is chicken biryani, I want to assign it into a, say, my food, right, assuming. And then if I run that, right, there you go, my food, the output is still chicken biryani. But let's see, I enter here a new cell and then I say my food. Let's see what's the output. There's none, right? The reason for that is that this one simply prints the chicken biryani. It does not return anything. Meaning to say, if I want to input a chicken, I need to get something out of this machine, something that will be returned to me, right? So I put an input meat, which is my chicken, and then I want to get a return. I want something, a return from this machine that I can get. Unfortunately, what the machine did, it simply prints the that you were going to have a chicken biryani, but it did not return anything, right? So for you to have it returned, you can just actually remove this and then change it into return, and then this one as well, change it into return, and then here change it into return, right? For this one, I think you have to concatenate the two, so it's actually multiplication for you to concatenate the two. It will actually merge the two, which is this text with whatever the input meat is, right? So if I run this and I run this cooking machine, my food equals cooking machine, there you go, chicken biryani, and as you can see, there's a code already, right? There's a code already, as opposed to this one earlier, there's no code. Even in fact, earlier chicken biryani does not have a code. Now that I've run it, let's see if we can now have an output for my food. If I run this, we now have an output because we got something in return, right? So in summary, I would say you can think of a function like a machine, like you are creating a machine that takes an input and output, right? So if I can like briefly demonstrate that, let me just open my notebook here. So there we go. Okay, so let me just have my pen. So the way we like present it, at least is that you can think of a function. First, you have like an input, and then from this input, right, you then plug it into this some sort of like machine. This is like your machine, and it has a function, like it has a process here, and so on and so forth, whatever that is, whatever the function that you have. But basically it takes an input, right? And then once you feed that input into this machine, if you say you just want to print, it will actually, what will happen is that the earlier version of the function that we've created is that when you enter it into the machine, let me just put it back. What it did is that it simply prints here showing you like chicken biryani, something like that. So it's just some sort of like, when you feed it into the machine has this monitor in it, and then this is the monitor that's showing, and it says chicken biryani. But we don't want that. We want something in return. So this one, this is through using that print ln, right? But we don't want that. What we want is that something like, and sorry for my writing, right? It's so bad. What we want to do is that, so that's the print ln. What we want to do is something we get in return. This is the output. So output, and this is the chicken biryani. Alright, so this is the output, which is the chicken biryani. And this one is, it was returned using that return keyword. Okay, so that's how you illustrate it, right? You have this input, which is your input meat, which is the chicken earlier, and then you feed it into the function, which is some sort of like a machine with some functionality in it that goes into that whatever codes that you put. In our case, we put a control flow, and then whatever is printed here, when you do the printing, it, you can think of it like some sort of like a log only, telling you in that monitor of that machine that it is cooking a chicken biryani. And then if you want to get the chicken biryani as something that's you can take, and that's something maybe tangible, you use the return. Of course, I'm just actually using an analogy here, but there you go. Return, you use the return keyword earlier, and then you can then use this chicken biryani to do some to process further. So here, if I have it in my food here, which is now what that was returned by the cooking machine, I can then use it to modify it further, right? So because I got it already, and so I can say cooking machine times, assuming when I say times is actually just concatenating a text, chicken biryani, say I can say here spicy space and then times. So my food now is chicken biryani, and if I run this, so you can see here it simply added spicy. But basically what I'm trying to do here is that because we got something out of this function, we can then use the output of this function to do further processing, right? To do further computations, right? So that's just a simple illustration of a function. Inshallah, we'll cover for more topics for function in our next tutorial. Let's further create a complicated function, just to wrap, just to what is this, cover everything that we've already discussed in our previous video and put it in a function as well, right? So there you go. Alhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum.